So yesterday I watched the Blacc Sam interview. Blacc Sam is Nipsey Hussle's older brother, right? And Nipsey Hussle is a rapper, entrepreneur. I would even go far to say philanthropist, uh, and a Crip. A Rolling 60 Crip gang member, basically from LA, Los Angeles, right? I think if I didn't say that already. But he's also like probably gonna always be my favorite rapper of all time, dead or alive, and that's a big feat because we're talking Tupac, we're talking Biggie, we're talking about Jay-Z, we're talking about Nas, we're talking about whatever. So obviously I can't speak for the future, but at the moment, 100%, and for a long time has been my favorite rapper. And I'll give one story to sum up why that is. Yeah. I'm not sure exact year, but it would be between the ages of 13 and 16. I remember I must have been going through a bit of a hard time. I don't know what exactly was the scenario. It could have been to do with money. It could have been to do with living in Southeast London. There's a lot of politics, a lot of things happening outside, drama, different things. So it could have been, someone giving me trouble, whatever it was. But I remember I was in a really dark state of mind. Just dark place, man, really in a bad place. And I never really had that much, people to speak to at the time. I remember that clearly because I didn't really have an older brother, older siblings. It was just me, my little brother, and my mum. And because, like I said, the politics of the whole Southeast London, that side of things, and where we live, I always kind of kept my little brother at a distance, just to protect, for his own protection, in my own, opinion. And whether that was right or wrong, that's something that time will tell. But yeah, so I remember I was going through a real dark time, and I come in to our room. Me and my little brother shared a room. I can't remember, I think it was on our bunk bed. So we had a bunk bed, I was at the bottom, and I've just crashed in the bed and just, I've just crashed. And I remember I was just in a dark place. But what I remember clearly is just in my headphones, I'm just listening to Nipsey Hussle. And I remember it was like having someone just there empowering you and just giving you strength, like, and just giving you encouragement. And the words I'll remember clearly, vividly from his one of the songs, right? Because listening to the album, I think it was the Crenshaw album, I'm not sure. But the words was, no matter what you're into, it says, regardless what you're into, regardless what you've been through, feel like I've got to tell you got something to contribute. And they repeated that, regardless what you're into, regardless what you've been through, feel like I've got to tell you got something to contribute. And yeah, bro, powerful, what I'm trying to say to you. So it was just like someone encouraging, someone just pulling me up in that moment. I never really forget that. And I think of all the rappers, like all the lyrics, all the X, Y, Z, like Nipsey was just one person who, had everything that as a young person you kind of look up to, and, that will catch your attention. Money, cars, women, fame, respect, whatever. He's in a gang, all these different things you might look up to when you're young. But like, he was in what he said, he was very prolific in terms of, like, inspiring, empowering, trying to encourage people to be entrepreneurial, to do better. So yeah, man, that's one reason why if you see, like, in my office or whatever, you see a picture of Nipsey Hussle, or you see a tattoo, or you see whatever, that's the representation of what it is, you know what I mean? So I'm not big on idolizing individual human beings. I'm not like, you never hear me say I'm a fan of anyone. Even when it comes to music, like, I listen and I love music so much, but it's funny, like I like Blast, right? And I thought I was a fan of Blast, you know what I mean? Because he's like a singer. I was listening to all his tunes, like, there was a time when he was on a come up, I was proper listening. And then I think Jav must have got us tickets to go to his concert. And I only knew the proper words for like 2 songs. And even that I was kind of, so I don't idolize people generally. And I still don't idolize Nipsey. It's not an idolization thing, but it's more of a respect and an inspiration. And we have to have our greats, and we have to know, like, who came before us, who set certain things, who helped us in certain places. So definitely my favorite rapper of all time. But the interview was very powerful, so obviously you can imagine why listening to that interview is very powerful. What I didn't mention, for those of you who don't know, obviously he was killed, I want to say like 5 years ago. Big part of the reason that, like, I went to LA. It was a special trip for me, man. Loved LA, loved LA. But essentially, gone to LA, No, it's not even about LA. I've watched the documentary yesterday, right? Very powerful, very like, you know, it was good because it's kind of like a story of his life. So it kind of like continued, left a lot of questions that were unanswered, answered, especially because Black Sam's usually known for just being in the background, working, hustling, not really talking. So it was good, it was powerful to kind of hear that. But what was profound and what I really loved about the interview and what I learned, right? I'm going to just check my camera. Yep, still rolling. So you would notice that now, you might not notice, but we're using my camera. Now we're going to fix up the lens. We're going to take the quality to another level as well. So always improving. But what I really picked up from the interview, and I'm sure there's more as well that I'll remember and I'll highlight, but what I picked up straight away is I reaffirmed something that I said to one of our podcast guests last week, right? We interviewed one of our clients who's an influencer who we work closely with, and we interviewed them for our podcast. And I open up by saying, like, when we get familiar with somebody, we tend to kind of forget their greatness. You understand? And what that means is that, like, if you lived across the street from Michael Jordan or Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, when they're like, you know, let's say for Michael Jordan, because I know basketball, they bloomed a bit late, so it's like, let's say 13, 15, and he's not MJ yet, he ain't done nothing yet, right? But you know that this guy's cold. You know he's very sick when he's on the court, like he's moving different. You see him training like consistently. He might be a little shit in school. He might, you know, been doing knockdown ginger like everybody else or whatever, but you know that in the element of basketball, he's great. What would happen is, you know, only a few people will still respect this person as a great and still, you know, address them as a great, talk to them, speak that into them, right? But you're always going to get the people that get too familiar and then start to like downplay somebody's greatness and start to like talk to them, look at them like they're not that person, right? And the lesson in that reminded me, the reason why the Blacc Sam interview reminded me of that, because when he spoke of Nip, he spoke like they all just saw greatness in him, and because they saw that greatness in him, they all just backed him up. They got behind him, you know, they listened to him, they heard out his vision, they worked with him. And look, we're not talking about really talking a team. That's a whole nother like lesson and a whole nother learning as well, just like what it's like to be a leader, to lead a team, to inspire your team, to get them to be back your vision. That's a whole different thing. But it's more just a case of like the people you're around know, and you know that, and you can see the greatness within them, because we've all got greatness within us. Let's be real, we've all got greatness. Like, not being afraid or egotistical enough to ignore that and try and downplay someone's greatness just because you're familiar with them. And I think that's something we all need to do more. Like, just look at the people around us, see the greatness in them, and when you see someone that's got a spark of greatness, like, just remind them of that. And not even like, because we're not trying to blow no one's heads up over here, you know, hypothetically. We're not trying to, you know, grow anyone's ego, but just don't try and downplay it, let's say. You know, even if you're not going to tell someone every so often, which you could, like, you know, like, I love how you do this, you know, like, nah, man, you're sick with that, you need to do something about that, or X, Y, and Z. Even if you're not going to do that, which I do, I love to do that, but even if you're not going to do that, just make sure you're not one of those people that's downplaying someone's greatness. And if you're just somebody who is a great person, or you're on the way to being great, you're working hard, you're really going for it, you're chasing a dream, it's important to notice that around you. You understand? And know who are you around, especially when you're in the same environment, when you stay in the UK and whatever. It's important to just check who you're around and make sure that you're around people who, you know, understand your greatness and who don't downplay your greatness. You know, at the least, if you're not going to understand my greatness or speak into it, that's fine. Maybe you're not that way inclined. Some people are a bit more reserved, more subtle, more, you know, whatever, but don't downplay it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what a beautiful thing about traveling and getting in front of fresh eyes, because when you're in front of fresh eyes, they see your greatness a bit more. Like, it's interesting. And that's why the saying comes of like, strangers will whatever more than people close to you or whatever. So yeah, big thing. That's something I learned from that interview. Very powerful part of it. I definitely recommend everyone go and watch it. If you know anything about Nipsey, or obviously if you're a Nipsey fan or whatever, then yeah, definitely I recommend it. But yeah, man, peace.